Watching the Super Bowl halftime show with Kendrick Lamar has obviously been the talk of the town over the last few weeks. Everybody formed their different opinions on whether they liked it or not, or how good it was. For some reason, like when I just sat back and was watching people give their different opinions and going back and like watching the performance countless times, something like it went off like a light bulb or something. Like something hit me as far as like people like. I wish people had more conversations and really dive into and talk about the duality of Kendrick Lamar, what I think is ultimately his superpower and what makes him great as an overall artist. But before I get into that, man, if you a fan of Kendrick Lamar, man, fan of hip hop in general, man, leave a like on that video, man. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps the videos get out to other people. The duality of Kendrick Lamar. I always remember, like everybody, like with their favorite artists, we always have a moment in time where we become a fan of an artist, whoever your favorite artist is. You will never forget that moment of time of when you became a fan of a particular artist. And for me, when it comes to Kendrick, I just remember like waking up every day I was in high school at the time. And I just always remember waking up and my TV would be on, and it's on MTV. Like this when MTV was still doing the videos and different things. And I remember, this is when his song All Right was out. In the video, I think you gotta think about it too. At this time, I wasn't a huge fan of Kendrick Lamar. I didn't like hate him or nothing. I wasn't really like tapped in like how I am with him, nowadays. At that time I wasn't tapped in. I do remember, 2012 or 2013, like songs like Swimming Pool and Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe being like songs that always played out because they was huge songs. And I always remember loving those songs, But necessarily I didn't go as far as to like, man, let me check out this artist and let me really dive into his music like that. I didn't do that really into 2014ish. 2015ish, around that time. So my first introduction, well, not introduction, but my first falling in love with Kendrick was around 2015 with To Pimp a Butterfly. Hearing All Right, it made me interested to just sit down one day and go in and really hone in, listen to his album at the time, To Pimp a Butterfly. And I just remember just being blown away, mind blown on how this rap artist is incorporating all these different elements of funk, jazz, and it's just not your typical hip hop album, especially for those times. 2015, like this is when Drake and Future are going crazy. So it's an era that like trap is big around this time. So hearing this type sound, it was an experience to say the least, and a very experience that I'm always glad that I got to experience. And it was a moment for me where everything's just changed for me as far as my musical taste. Like listening to T-Pab, like that was me being like, man, I want to be on the journey now for more artists like him. I want to be, so that's when I'm like discovering now the J. Cole's and certain artists like that, and off of To Pimp a Butterfly. And also too, like obviously, like right away, what struck me with him is his messaging. His messaging was something that always struck me. And I'm like, yo, this guy is different. Like you could tell off rip, like, man, this guy is different. So as I'm going back through his catalog, and now I'm listening to Good Kid, Mad City, and now everybody already knows and everybody already understands what Good Kid, Mad City is. It's basically, and people get it confused too. I never really thought Good Kid was like a West Coast sounding album, but more of just of a kid growing up in Compton, and it's more of a LA or Compton growing up and coming up story. And me listening to Good Kids, something struck me as far as like it clicked, and I started to realize what type of artist Kendrick might be. I'm like, man, these are two different completely sounding albums, two different messages. On one side you getting that, on Good Kid you getting that kid that come up of age story, but you still getting You get into I was hearing aggression. I'm hearing, just LA vibes. Like, you hear the stories, and with some of the beats on it, like I said, you getting some of that energy just is being pumped out to you with some of like the hard slapping beats and different things. And then you go back to T-Pab, and it's like jazz horns and groove sessions and elements of funk. And it's like, this is crazy. Like, this is two different vibes of music, two different mindsets of how to do music, and it's dope. I love it. So this guy's telling me I could do anything I want musically, and you're not gonna box me in. At this point in time, what Kendrick was telling me at that time was, no, this is the energy. And this is where my man said, and this is where musically I am right now. And from that moment on, I grew an understanding of Kendrick Lamar as far as like, oh, this dude not just as a person, but musically has a lot of layers to him that's really intriguing and really interesting. So going forward, like, I always knew, like, not to expect anything twice musically. I always expected now going forward to hear different stories, nothing was gonna be the same when it came to Kendrick Lamar. So, like, all that was going through my brain while watching this halftime show and seeing the discourse when it came to Kendrick, and realizing that, when I said previously in the video, Kendrick don't do things twice. Like, when people mentioning why he didn't perform all right, like, he already did that at the first Super Bowl with Dr. Dre. And think about the different messaging in those two Super Bowls. One Super Bowl, you had him coming out with like the all black like suit type thing on, kind of like black militant energy. Him coming out with like all the black men surrounding him, they kind of, marching. And what's the song he performs? All right. This Super Bowl is totally different energy. It's like Samuel was saying, it's too loud, too ghetto. He got the chain on, got the jacket on, got the hat backward. Everybody was talking about the bell-bottom jeans. Like, total different comparison for the dude I just described before. And think about the songs he was performing now. Songs off of his GNX album, like the West Coast aggressive, more up-tempo type songs, the in your face. So even with that, you can see the duality even from his Super Bowl performances, let alone if we talking about his catalog. So man, I appreciate that from Kendrick. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the halftime performance and about it, and maybe if you really maybe didn't like or appreciate the halftime performance, let me know that as well. But before I get out here, man, always, man, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel. I appreciate y'all, man. Till next time.